Hello, it's me back for another video. I know that last video was very long and very in-depth, so I will try to keep it a lot shorter this time around. However, I think that this is going to be no less controversial. Ooh, in other news, look at this lighting. I look so angelic with that halo above me. Okay, so today's no less controversial. What I wanted to talk about today was this idea that I had, which, big shocker. I think you need to have an outside life as a startup founder. I know this is pretty contrary to what everyone probably says, what I hear all the time, which is the rise and grind, hustle culture, every day you get up and you hustle until you can't anymore and you fall asleep and you start all over again the next day. Which, don't get me wrong, there's periods of time where, as in anything, you sort of have to focus on your work and it takes precedence, like during a product launch, which is happening soon, by the way. Stay tuned for that. However, I do think that as a startup founder, you need to have time to yourself, to pursue a hobby, to keep relationships with your family, friends, and loved ones. And I truly do believe that those things are going to make you a better startup founder. And let me explain the reasons why. So first of all, if you're going to be the leader of a company, the fact is that the company culture is going to be based off of your culture. If you want to attract the best talent, one of the most important perks that you can provide nowadays is work-life balance. People are not so interested in just working all the time, especially for a company that they don't own, But if you are the boss and you are seen as just constantly working and having no room in your life for everyone else, even if you claim to have a work-life balance in your culture, it doesn't reflect in your actions, and therefore it's not going to reflect in your employees' actions, or certainly they feel like the incentive is not to actually take work-life balance seriously. And that is damaging to the culture as a whole. So you need to be able to practice what you preach. If they can trust you to be doing the work-life balance yourself, then they'll feel comfortable doing the work-life balance. And as a result, they will give you better work when they are at work. That brings me to my next point. Have you ever, one of my favorite things to do are crossword puzzles. I'm like a little bit of a crossword puzzle geek. Have you ever had like a clue in a crossword puzzle or any kind of puzzle and you just can't figure it out? And then you leave it alone, you go away, you do something else for a bit, and you come back and you're like, oh, this is so easy, it's blank, or like, this is how I should do it. I think the similar thing happens at work, and then specifically at a startup when you have pretty unique challenges and stuff that you have to come up with. I think if you leave and you exercise or you think about something else for a while, subconsciously you are still usually thinking of that problem. And maybe it'll occur to you when you're alone, or maybe it will occur to you when you're talking to someone else. You come back to that problem and suddenly it's so much easier than if you're sitting there like trying to struggle through and only barely inching along. Sometimes if you take that time, step back, and then come back to it, you'll leap forward. So you'll kind of make up for that lost time by really letting your subconscious percolate solutions that you may not have been able to come up with had you stayed in that moment, in that problem. So then the other thing that I need to talk about here is that starting a company is a marathon, not a sprint, as they say. So you need to keep your energy up consistently throughout the whole time. And as with anything else in life, there are going to be dips and rises. If your whole identity is based upon how well your company is doing, what happens when it's going through an inevitable rough patch? Your whole sense of identity is going to collapse because it's so tied to the success of your company. It just is. I mean, it is anyway, but at least if you build in these other avenues of your life, it's not going to fall apart so completely when things are doing poorly. You can kind of lean on the relationships and hobbies and other things going on in your life to get you grounded so that you can then push through the tough times and keep going, which is the perseverance aspect is probably the most important aspect that a startup founder can have. So then I think the last reason why especially you want to make sure you keep your friendships and your relationships outside of work alive is that you provide that different perspective. You can get the advice from people when you need it. You can get just support when you need it. And it's important to have that from people that are outside of the people that you're working with to get that outside perspective. So anyway, this is a much shorter video. You're welcome. But if you are interested in any of these entrepreneur, startup, how-to, and business tips, please subscribe. It really helps me get visibility. And especially if you like this video, please like and share it so that anyone who's interested in doing this stuff has the tools they need to achieve their dreams. All right, see you next time.